Call this meeting to order, Rockledge City Council, Wednesday, April 18th, 2018 at 6 p.m. City Clerk, you want to call the roll, please?
Mayor Price?
Here.
Councilman Smith is absent. Councilman Ferguson?
Here.
Councilwoman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Forrester?
Here.
Councilman Dasky?
Here.
Councilman Hartzell?
Here.
City Attorney Maniclier?
Here.
City Manager Fetro?
Here.
Thank you, Sherry. Folks, could you please stand for our invocation, be by Pastor Ferguson tonight, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Let's bow our heads. We're reminded from Psalm 145, verse 3, "Great is the Lord, he is most worthy of praise. No one can measure his greatness. Let each generation tell its children of your mighty acts. Let them proclaim your power. We will meditate on your majestic, glorious splendor and your wonderful miracles." Father, we declare blessings be upon us as we gather in your holy name. Father, we pray for every council member and everyone present. We pray that, God, we will be used by your might, by your power, and may your wisdom rule and reign in this gathering, in this meeting tonight. So in Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The council has before them the minutes of the meeting April 4th, 2018. What's the pleasure to council?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on April 4th, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, presentation tonight. We have Johnette Gedling, CEO, Space Coast Health Foundation. You want to come forward? And just your name and address for the record. Everything has to be recorded.
Johnette Ginling, 3800 Chardonnay, Rockledge. Good evening, and thank you for your time this evening to tell you a little bit about our project that we're doing here in Rockledge. I am Johnette Ginling. I am the president and CEO of Space Coast Health Foundation, and we are an organization focused on health. I have with me this evening Eric Costin from W&J, who is working with us on the project, and I'm going to share a little bit about what we're doing. I thought I'd start quickly, though, a little bit about the foundation, who we are, how we exist. The foundation was formed in 2010 from the sale of Wusthof Health System. We are a grant-making foundation. We focus on health and wellness, and we are for the exclusive benefit of Brevard County. All of our funding goes to support health and wellness in this community. Our financial resources, as you said, came from Wusthof, and the endowment since 2010 has now grown to over $50 million.
Nice.
Maybe. There we go. Our mission, as I said, is to enhance health and wellness, and we are really working hard to build a legacy for this community, to make us stronger for all populations, not just underserved, but the working well. Since we began funding, let's go back. Since we began funding in 2014, so our first few years of existence, we had to work with the IRS to get the ability to be able to fund. But since that time, we have 3 grant programs that we administer in the county, and we have given away over $6.4 million to our community. These grants have gone to open new clinics, to offer emergency medication for daily bread, to offer behavioral health counseling programs. And in fact, in October of this past year, we purchased, through an asset agreement, Family Counseling Center that's been a member of this community for over 50 years. They're now in Lifetime Counseling, and they have become a part of our organization because we knew the need was so great for our county. With our venture grants, we have 3 focus areas: dental, behavioral health, and access to care. Our Picket Responsive grants are open to any health or wellness initiative that is unique and an agency is working to establish within our county. So our building project. As you might be familiar with this was commonly referred to as the Space Bowl for a long time, and it's been sitting vacant for a while. And the foundation board decided we needed a permanent home. And our roots are in Rockledge, so we would like to come back to Rockledge. And so we purchased this building in August of 2016, and we have begun to work on it. In this building, this is the site map. It is a 30,000 square foot building at the corner of Rockledge Boulevard and Bougainvillea. And we are going to create with this building the Space Coast Health Foundation. Oh, one more, thank you. Center for Collaboration. These are the renderings for the outside, the west elevation faces Rockledge Boulevard, and the front entrance to the building. And inside the building, in the 30,000 square feet, in the area that's the red that you see over here, that will be the foundation offices. In the blue area here will be the Children's Advocacy Center of Brevard. That is a program that the foundation is the manager for, and that is the program that investigates all the child abuse for our community. In this space, I'm proud to announce United Way will be moving into the building with us. We have a lot of collaborative projects together, and this is a great opportunity to work closer together. And then finally, the last space, this yellow, we are excited to be providing a community space. It will seat at round tables up to 175, in lecture style up to 300. We are building a catering kitchen in this area to support that community space, and it will be open to not-for-profits who are doing events and training. And we are also working now to build a training institute within that space so that medical training, health training that needs to be done for our community can be done in that space. Off of the space, you will see a garden area. And I want to thank the redevelopment agency for their grant to help us to improve that exterior and to add that garden. Oh, thank you. These are a few pictures of the construction that's in progress. This is a part of the garden. You see some cement because we're doing a patio area. You see the big window that is right in here? That window actually is a huge glass wall that will be seen from the outside from the garden, but when you're inside in the community space, you will overlook the garden. So the first photo is the overhang that was going over the garden. The center picture is the lobby area and the tile that is going in and is now, I believe, in from what Eric told me today. And then the last picture is actually the entrance to the community space. Again, this is the outside of the building. It is a $7 million project. We are expected to be in June of this year, so we look forward to inviting all of you and hosting you there to celebrate our new building.
Good. Very nice.
May I answer any questions?
Does anybody have any questions? Great, we look forward to it. I've been watching the construction over there, and I know you're coming along real well, and it's been under construction for a while, but I think you got a good contractor over there, because we've used him as well.
Good. Good.
But we appreciate what you do for our community, and we look forward to your grand opening.
Great, thank you so much.
Just have plenty of food, because we have some guys that like to eat.
I'll take care of that. Healthy food, though.
Thank you. Dr. George Faison, come forward, sir. Your name and address for the record, please, Dr. Faison.
I'm Dr. George L. Faison, Sr. of Titusville, Florida. And Mayor, I'd like to thank you and the council for allowing me this space to make a presentation to a person that I think is most worthy of, and I'll share this with you.
Sure.
Let me say this, though. I don't come here as a stranger. As a matter of fact, my dad, 1912, spent his first night in Brevard County in Rockledge. later moving on over to Titusville. And I served some time here in the community as an educator. I was one of the assistant principals at Rockledge High School.
Oh.
And I can see the product of some of my labor here with you this evening. I'm going to make presentation to one, and I'd like to say too that Jim McKnight, I had that guy also. So
Well,
somebody you
Dr.
may be
Faison, what years
familiar
were
with.
you at Rockledge High?
Rockledge High 73 to 78.
I thought you looked familiar. I graduated in 75 from Rockledge High.
75.
Yeah.
Did we put a boat
Jim
on you at
McKnight
that time?
graduated in 74.
We didn't put a boat on you.
No, you didn't.
Okay. That was back when we didn't have
Restriction.
guns in schools.
That's right.
We put a paddle on the guys and they left them all at home. But a fine city you have, and I'm pleased with the way that it has developed. And I wish we had that kind of development in the area up north. I'm not going to call out where. But again, thanks for the opportunity to come before you. I represent the Historically Black Institution Alumni Consortium. And in the state of Florida, we have four such institutions: Bethune-Cookman College, Florida Memorial College, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, and Edward Waters College in Jacksonville. Each year we invite these schools in to make presentations to students, and all students, not just black students. I need to make that point, but to all students. We make that presentation and an opportunity to have the representatives from the various schools recruit students. And during that period of time, we try and recognize people from the community who have made contributions. Let me just share this. Each year at our information recruitment breakfast, we recognize persons or organizations who have made worthwhile contribution to our youth, the community, one of our alma maters. And of course, we solicit the community to make nominations for such persons. This evening, I'm here to present the Richard Enoch Stone Community Betterment Award. And I'm pleased to present this award to a person who sits on your council. And it reads as follows: Historically Black Institution Alumni Consortium, a partnership for progress. And it has a saying here that Mr. Stone shared back during his contribution to the community. He indicated that no man has the right to use the luxuries of this society and leave without putting forth all his energy to make this a better place for their young. This night we present the Richard Enoch Community Betterment Award to Councilwoman Sammy Brown Martin. On my way out, I want to say that there's another student here, Mr. Smith, was also one of the students who were there when we were using the vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have our Arbor Day art contest. We have this once a year. It's always good to see the kids in the audience as well as the parents and the grandparents that are out here. to see their kids. Okay, third place first for K3, third grade, K third grade, Isabella Williamson. Is Isabella here? Oh, what a shame. You want to-
There are teachers here.
Okay,
Mrs. Barnes.
Trinity Lutheran, Mrs. Barnes? Is that your name? Show everybody that picture.
Very nice.
Can you read on the back of it what she wrote?
Okay, what Arbor Day means to you. I love trees because they make air clean. Arbor Day means a lot to me. Trees are good for people and animals.
Great. Ms. Barnes, here you go. That's for her as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Well, let's get a picture. Come on out here. Okay, second place, K third grade, Allison Johnson. Allison. Read to us here. You're gonna have to talk into this.
It means a lot because it helps the community and helps people survive and animals survive, and it gives clean air. Trees also save energy by shading your home.
Allison. Let's go have a picture.
At some point, who the gift certificates are from.
Oh, I don't know who they are from.
That's incredible. I couldn't do that.
Isn't that amazing? Absolutely beautiful.
It's amazing.
Great job.
And the big one, first place, Chloe Horton. Chloe?
Her picture's beautiful.
It means a lot to me. I have always loved trees. When I was little, I would just sit under my tree and read. I love plants too. I have a garden at my house, and I don't like how people are cutting down trees and killing them. We are in their habitat.
Good job.
Let's go have a picture.
Poor Mr. Mayor, his leg, man.
Yeah.
He's trying.
Okay.
The gift certificates that they're receiving are from Clay Z down off Barnes Boulevard. It's right where the gun shop used to be, right? Behind Wendy's. And we want to thank them. The first place winners, I think, got $50. Second place was $30. And third place, $20. And I'd just like to recognize them because they made sure that everybody would be able to accomplish an art project in their location. So if you ever get the opportunity, you want to play in some clay, go down and visit them. They have a great shop.
Our next category is 4th through 6th grade, and our third place winner is Alexa Shelton. She's not here? Okay. is her teacher at Trinity Lutheran. Come on,
Barnes.
Ms. Barnes, you get to read it again.
Okay. It means not to cut down trees and to plant more trees too, because trees help us live by producing oxygen and fruit if it is a fruit tree. Okay.
That makes a difference.
Yes.
Want a picture of that, Steve? Second place, Avery Mayrose. Fifth grade, Trinity Lutheran.
Oh, very nice.
You shouldn't just cut down trees. People took a lot of time to grow that tree. It is even worse if they just cut down the tree for no reason. I don't think people realize we need trees.
Thank you. Let's have a picture.
Get the work out.
First place, Mary Nella Hannock. Mary's not Mary Nella? She's not here? St. Mary's. Anybody from St. Mary's? Teacher of St. Mary's? No. We'll make sure they get it. Okay, next is our 7th through 12th graders. Third place, Kareem Maija, 12th grade, Rockledge High School. Come on. Did I pronounce that right? Did I pronounce that right? No? Sorry. You got the right one?
That's beautiful.
All right, come over and read to us.
Okay. So, Arbor Day to me means the birth of life. Without the existence of trees, life on our planet would not exist.
Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
There's your pen. Draw the picture of it, okay? Wow. Second place, 7th grade, Trinity Lutheran School, Rusty Gale Sage. Rusty Gale? Okay, Mrs. Barnes, come on.
She must be a good teacher.
Glad you're here. Oh, no, I don't know if I can read this. Wait a second. Arbor Day is a day to celebrate what trees have done for us. Gave us air to breathe and shelter to live under. They have just done a lot for us.
Good job.
Okay.
Okay. Good job. There's your pen. We can re-show the picture.
Use tree.
Okay, our first place, 7th grade, Reagan Holmes, Trinity Lutheran.
To me, Arbor Day is a day to replenish the earth of what it is that makes this planet sustainable for human life. There are many things like air, food, shelter, and books to feed our knowledge and creativity come from trees. Let us plant a tree for us and future generations.
Great, thank you. Here. Okay, third place, fifth grader Alexis Shelton. Read what you said. Yes, that's right there.
Arbor Day means not to cut down trees and to plant more trees, because trees help us live by producing oxygen and fruit if it is a fruit tree.
Let's have a picture up front. Okay, come on. Move forward. Oh, come on, Mom. I think that's it.
I think we got them all.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you bringing your kids out tonight and supporting your kids. You're the most important thing to these kids is the parents and grandparents. Thank you very much.
What's that? Yeah. For the most part.
Just give it a couple of minutes, guys, and we'll get started, okay? Who? He's 6'8", because that door is 6'8".
Yeah.
Yes. Even Tom would feel short around him.
All right, let's move on with this. Financial budget report, month of March 2018.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Mr. Ferguson.
I move to be in receipt of the financial budget report for the month of March 2018.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Public hearings, ordinances, and resolutions. First ordinance, second reading, public hearing, ordinance 1731-2018. Who's going to give me that one tonight?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dasky.
offer for the second reading and public hearing ordinance number 1731-2018, deleting and replacing section 57.79 of the Rockledge Land Development Regulations relating to requirements and standards for direct and indirect discharge into the wastewater and collection treatment system of the city of Rockledge by title only, and to open the matter for public hearing.
We have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Mr. City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, before we proceed with this, after numerous reviews and review by the Department of Environmental Protection, Mr. Shropshire was going through it for a final time and found 2 Scribner errors. And if we could have them put them on the record, we can make those changes after the, it just has to do with the citing of a section, and it's just 2 of them. So Kevin, could you come up and put it on the record what the 2 Scribner errors were and what the changes should be? It doesn't change anything.
Okay.
Are we sure we shouldn't read this in its entirety?
No.
Are you gonna cater in for breakfast?
Name and address for the record.
Kevin Shropshire, 4975 Carter Street, Port St. John. Representing the wastewater division as a pretreatment coordinator. Thank you for having me. Like Mr. Miniclear said, after many revisions and eyes on this, and I just happened to be glancing at it today and caught two sections on page, I believe in your copy, it's page 80 of 81. There's item B3. There's a reference to a chapter 30, which doesn't exist in this ordinance. It should state section D2, referring back to the beginning of the ordinance. And then item number 4, directly afterwards, in regards to private lift stations, also listed as chapter 30, which, as I said, does not exist. Should state section D9.
I don't see the chapter 30.
Right down here.
Okay,
Page
as long as
80
you
of
know what you're
81.
making the motion on, okay?
After the blank page.
Those two, everybody understand the two?
Yes.
So we need a motion to change those before you read?
Just before we read, but they're Scribner errors. It's a typographical error that was made and not caught. We're not changing the meaning or the body of the ordinance in any way. We just put it on the record that those are going to be changed in the original ordinance. And if we could have a motion, somebody take away your second.
Yes.
Take away the motion.
I need the second taken away first.
I withdraw my second.
Withdraw the motion.
Withdraw the motion.
Okay, and then a new motion as amended to correct the Scribner's error.
Okay. Make a motion to make the correction.
Just
read
what
the whole thing?
The same
Yeah.
motion you made
Okay.
before, just with the Scribner error corrections.
Yeah,
Okay.
The
All right.
motion has been
Okay,
amended to correct the error? Could the motion have been amended to correct the error, or do you need to do away with the motion?
What we're doing is we are correcting those on the record, and
Okay.
they will be reflected in the ordinance when it's published and goes up to Muni Code.
Okay, thank you.
So
All right.
that's-
Offer for second reading and public hearing, ordinance number 1731-2018, deleting and replacing section 57.79 of the Rockledge Land Development Regulations relating to requirements and standards for direct and indirect discharge into the wastewater and collection treatment system of the city of Rockledge by title only, and open the matter for public hearing. Also noting the corrections that were put into record, the corrections, the scrib errors.
That'll work.
Good enough?
Good enough.
We have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any further discussion?
No, sir.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, sign. Mr. City Attorney, go ahead and read.
And before I read, I'll just say that these were found at the 11th hour, so
Yes, they
that's why
were.
we're doing it this way. Ordinance number 1731-2018, an ordinance of the City of Rockledge, Brevard County, Florida, deleting section 57.79 of the Rockledge Land Development Regulations and replacing it with a new section 57.79, quote, requirements and standards for direct and indirect discharge into the wastewater and collection treatment system of the City of Rockledge, close quotes, declaring that invalidity of any portion hereof shall not affect the remaining portions of this ordinance, providing for the effective date hereof and for other purposes.
At this time, I open this up to the public. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this particular ordinance before we close this out and adopt it? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for the adoption of the ordinance.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Our next is a resolution.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I offer a resolution amending the fees for the registration of vacant properties and mortgage foreclosure. And I waive the reading and adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. He saved you some reading, Mr. City Attorney. C, resolution.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Offer a resolution supporting proposal number 11 of the Constitution Revision Commission relating to open primary elections, and move to read the resolution by title only.
You sure?
You want me to just waive it?
That's okay. That's okay.
Whatever.
I like to hear him read. He reads really good. We have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. City Attorney.
Resolution of the City of Rockledge, Broward County, Florida, supporting Constitution Revision Commission Proposal 11, terms P11, close term, to allow all electors, regardless of party affiliation, to vote in partisan primary elections.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. One opposed. D, resolution. Who's going to give me this resolution?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Offer resolution supporting Brevard County Board of County Commissioners, resolution number 18-023, allowing municipalities to regulate efforts to alleviate harm caused by auxiliary containers, wrappings, and plastic bags. To waive the reading and adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Let's move on. Reports from boards and committees. Who's going to give me reports?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ferguson.
I move to be in receipt of the minutes for the following meetings. The Rockledge Environmental Enhancement, the Tree Board, minutes of meeting on March 8th, 2018. Business Development Committee, minutes of the meeting on March 27th, 2018. Community Redevelopment Agency Board of Commissioners, minutes of meetings on March 28th, 2018. Planning Commission, minutes of meetings on April 3rd, 2018. Council Administrative Personnel and Community Relations Committee, minutes on April 11th, 2018. And to consider independently any recommendations contained therein.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, our first recommendation is waiver of Section 2(6)B of the City of Rockledge Personnel Policies and Procedure Manuals. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As the committee knows, and the council knows, we had an extensive search for a deputy chief of police. And throughout that process, we had wonderful candidates, but it is narrowed down to one individual that I would like to appoint. However, her husband and son-in-law do work for the city as well. So if the council would in fact waive a section out of the personnel procedure manual that would allow her husband and son-in-law to report directly to Joe Lasada, the department director, and she would have no oversight whatsoever of her husband and son-in-law. And Mr. City Attorney could weigh in, but I'm told that that is entirely legal and appropriate, and in fact has been done, precedent has been set at the city before in that regard. But that is what I am respectfully requesting.
Anybody have any questions? Understand what we're doing?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve the recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Joe, you're okay with this? You've discussed this with City Manager?
We have, essentially, what we are doing is taking the spousal possible conflict out by ensuring that neither one of them are in the same chain of command, that they have no say over their promotions, their pay raises, anything of any import, and that if there was ever any discipline or anything, it would be handled outside of that that connection and by the chief.
Okay.
Would handle everything. So we protected it.
Any other discussion? We have a motion. We have a second. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, reappointments and appointments.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Move to reappoint Perry Cameron, Dan Henn, Lynn Rule, and Carol Lamance to serve successive four-year terms on the Community Redevelopment Agency Board of Commissioners.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any of those members here? I don't see any.
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Appointments for the Planning Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I move to appoint Elizabeth Logan to the Planning Commission by acclamation.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second, and Elizabeth's not here as well. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Unfinished business, we have none. Consent business, Mr. Dasky.
Yes, sir. Move for the approval of these consent business items. The first one is amendment to fiscal year 2019 budget calendar for the city manager. The second one, declaration of surplus property, Public Works vehicles number 15 and number 81, and approval to recycle or scrap said vehicles for the Public Works Department.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. This is consent business. There is no discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. New business, action item, discussion concerning support for the City of Satellite Beach Resolution Number 1000, supporting a statewide managed coastal retreat policy and funding for critically eroded areas. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Satellite Beach has a resolution number 1000 that they'd like to have other municipalities in the county to support it, and I'm asking for council's direction. Would you like me to bring back a resolution to support their resolution on this topic, or would council prefer I take no action?
It's up to the council. We understand exactly what it's about.
Let me make sure that I got exactly what they're talking about here is coastal retreat. In other words, what they're talking about is the state and federal government using resources to purchase land that is oceanfront rather than continuously trying to renourish beaches to purchase that land and essentially move the habitation back away from the coast. Is that correct? That's part of it?
That is my interpretation as well, Councilman.
Okay.
Which really doesn't affect Rockledge, but it affects the coastal communities, and we're supposed to be in the League of Cities and supposed to support our other cities, so it's up to the council what you want to do.
Is there more information on this resolution?
It's in your package.
Okay, I was reading it the last second.
You didn't read that package?
I don't remember seeing that page. Sorry.
I would ask the city manager to prepare us a resolution. This is one of those things that's, you know, you're looking long-term, looking down the road, you're only going to be able to throw so much sand up on the beach. And these people that are building houses right along the shoreline are not going to need a swimming pool. You know, so it does make sense to me to approach it that way and get some of that land and take it.
Well, that's what the federal government has done with flood insurance. And these communities along the Mississippi River that have been flooded year after year after year, and the government continues pays on, they've been buying those communities, properties, and moving those communities inland more away from the Mississippi River. That's the same thing that we're looking at here.
Yeah. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Okay, we have a motion to bring a resolution back to the city council. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Once it comes back, then you're going to have time to review all that.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Then we can vote on it at that time, whether we're going to actually accept the resolution or not. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Petitions, remonstrances, and communications. At this time, is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak to their city council about anything that has to do with the city of Rockledge? You're welcome. Who you got there?
Mr. Mayor, I have a card from Don
Griffin.
Well, sure, cut out.
Name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Don Griffin, 6535 Pleasant Avenue, Port St. John, Florida. Good evening. Mr. Mayor, City Councilman, and Sammy, congratulations.
Thank you. Good
I
to
haven't
see
seen
you.
you on a board since,
It's been a long time.
yeah, about 15, 20 years now, so. I wanted to give you a heads up. I've been working with the developer who owns the majority of the property, the Shepherd Park, who is looking at doing some building out there using the Shepherd Park Overlay District. I prepared for him all the information that would be needed for him to take before the Planning Commission and City Council. He's also having the Cocoa Housing Authority is going to be reviewing and making sure that the applicants that will be moving into his duplexes will meet the income guidelines. So just wanted to make you aware, since I will not be, since I'm going on vacation next Wednesday, and he'll be bringing you something a month from probably today, that he's well on his way. He had not worked that out, and I'd like to thank Alex for, you know, and the city attorney for working with me to make sure that Doug Baldwin did have all his information and ducks in a row. So hopefully he'll have that package to you, like I said, a month from today. The Planning Commission will be looking at it in the first week in May. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
How many lots does he have, Don?
First phase here, he's looking at putting in a total of 22 duplexes. And actually talking to the Cocoa Housing Authority, you know, we have, in our overlay district, we have certain rates, but according to them, most of them are going to be between the 30 and 50% of mean income. So it's going to far exceed what we initially had thought we were going to put in that general area. So just to make you aware of it, but that'll be phase two. He's got some other property on a road that's not developed. And so he'll be working on that probably within the next 2 or 3 years, and I'll be helping him out on that. And we might be going, asking for additional help, maybe from Brevard County CDBG, about helping build the road like they did on PL Jones.
Right. Okay.
So
Thank
just
you,
want to
Don.
give you a heads up.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll be looking for it. Anybody else in the audience like to speak to their city council about anything? Eric, you don't want to say nothing. Mr. Martin back there, you don't want to say nothing to your city council. You got enough at home, right?
Believe it.
Peter Gabriel, want to say anything?
Is Peter Gabriel in the audience? I don't think so, right? All right, let's move on. Report, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few items tonight, one of which we have learned that our head wall project is not eligible for FIND grant money. So it is not eligible. So, as you all know, that head wall is pretty critical for us. And so I'm asking for direction from council. If you all decided that we should go forward with repairing the head wall in an attempt to get that done before the heat of the hurricane season, our Public Works Director tells me if we move pretty quickly, we can get that done by early to mid-September, which may be hopefully just in time. That would cost approximately $225,000 to $250,000. So in the Stormwater Fund, we've budgeted so that approximately $145,000 would go into reserves at the end of this fiscal year. So in theory, we have $145K already in the fund, in the operating fund, and our reserves has about $900,000. So if we took another, say, 105-ish out of the stormwater reserves, in case we needed the full 250, that would enable us to proceed with that project. So anyway, and Ken's, of course, ready to answer any questions that you may have as well.
I'm very aware of it, but I don't think we have any choice. I think it'd be negligence on our part if we didn't do it. But is there any way of getting refunding from FEMA on this?
That's what I was wondering.
And we do have it into FEMA, and we are very hopeful for that. But for example, council, we literally this week got our final reimbursement through the State Department of Emergency Management from Hurricane Matthew.
Yeah. It takes a couple
So
of years.
it will likely be another 12 to 16 months, perhaps.
Speeding up.
They're supposed to yeah. Well, supposedly, this new submission process is supposed to be a little faster than Hurricane Matthew. But again, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, so we're thinking 12 to 16 months for any reimbursements from FEMA. We hope sooner than that, but we're not expecting it, to be honest with you.
Does anybody have any questions of the city manager?
Do it.
Does everybody understand what we're doing as city manager? So do I need a motion for this? I assume I do.
Please, Mayor, just to be sure.
Make,
No, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to direct the city manager and the public works director to get busy and fix this head wall and try to have it done before hurricane season.
Yeah.
Or before-
Second.
Yeah.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Mayor, may I just, assuming that 105 or so could come out of reserves and the 145? Okay, just want to make sure.
We're clear
Thank
on
you.
that.
Okay.
As
Just wanna
described.
Make sure everybody hears. Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. What else you got?
Thank you, council. And with council's action tonight, let me just say I'm proud to announce that beginning Monday, we will have 2 new deputy chiefs. Our deputy chief of the fire division is a gentleman named Jim Wilson. He comes to us from Plant City, so he will start Monday, as will our deputy chief of the police division, our internal candidate, Donna Seifert. So congratulations to both of them, and I'm sure you'll be seeing much more of both of them very soon. Also, I'm happy to share with council, you recall us talking about the Indian River Lagoon half-cent sales tax committee, and this city was one of the first cities to submit a project. We got our check for $880,000, $880,530 this week. That does go into the wastewater fund, however, but thankfully we got all of our money. And 2 other quick items. Tomorrow, 11:30 is the torch run at Publix North. So if any of you wish to come out and cheer us on running, Chief Lasada and I are running, and maybe some others in the back. Jimmy, I'm going to see you there. Oh, no, okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's tomorrow at 11:30, and then also Friday morning, several of you are going to the prayer breakfast in Cocoa Village. That begins at 7:30. And that concludes my report. Thank you, council.
Thank you. Okay, city attorney litigation report. I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
move to be in receipt of the city attorney litigation report dated April 2nd, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mr. City Attorney, what do you got for us?
Just before the doors closed in my office last night, we received a offer of judgment in the $77,690 forfeiture case. By ethics, I'm required to put it before you. To do that, we're going to have an executive session. That being said, I am in some, I guess, back channel with the attorney representing the claimant, and we're seeing if we can get a different figure. City manager and I have discussed it, and so we may be having an executive session for one way or the other on that before the 30 days runs out. That's the only time frame we have. We have to either accept it or reject it. If we don't do anything within 30 days of the offer being made, it's deemed to have been rejected. That has certain ramifications in the lawsuit dealing with attorney's fees and so on and so forth. We already have an offer of settlement in, so it doesn't mean we can't do a supplemental. And hopefully, after I talk with Mr. Cook tomorrow, we should be able to get something settled, I hope. Either way, we'll probably need an executive session, so I just want to let you know that.
Okay.
Mr. Griffin spoke about the Shepherd's Park project, just a little history on it, so when it does start coming up, you know what it is. This was a development of types. It was not a plat. That was started in 1951. There have been a number of building permits that were approved by the council. That being the methodology, then the plat was never filed. So it's just There's a provision in the statute that if there are unfiled plats, papers, documents, maps, the clerk of the court can keep those, but they do nothing to transfer property. There is a glaring problem for the city. None of the streets within that development belong to the city. Yes. And we have had a discussion, and I'm going to try and get the city surveyor to give us a citywide map of all the roads and ways that we do maintenance on, and file a maintenance map with clerk pursuant to Chapter 95 of the Florida statutes. That would allow us, once it's been filed, we publish it, and a certain period of time runs, it is deemed those belong to us because of our long time maintenance of those various roads. Just do everything, that way we never have to worry about it again. I have no idea how many more Shepherd Parks might be hunting out there. But that's where we're at with that thing. If they're going to be done, it'll have to be done with building permits, again, just like it's an individual lot. But it should have been a plat, and it wasn't. So we're going to have to cure the problem with the streets.
How about the new road they built? That was not done without a plat too?
We helped pay for it, but we didn't own it. So did the county. And so did the federal government.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not like we misused the funds. The funds were, built the road, but there is no underlying ownership to the city. It belongs to whoever was the last owner of that property.
It was Mr. Shepherd.
It would be Mr. Shepherd.
And he's been dead for many years. No, it was the old man Shepherd, John D. Shepherd.
Okay.
And he died in the 90s, early 90s?
Yeah. So then it would go to his estate. His property belongs to the people who owned it and the heirs from it, unless there is a court order or some sort of statutory provision that terminates or interferes with it. So it still belongs to whoever was the underlying owner of that property when they started developing it. We can cure it. We just have to get the map.
Okay.
Let's see. There was one other thing. It has nothing to do. When you come back to me later, I'll pass that on. I've got just an old story.
Okay. All right. Reports from dais. City Clerk.
I just wanted to apologize for being late this evening, and I want to congratulate Councilwoman Martin on her award.
Thank you.
City Attorney.
The presentations for Arbor Day brought back a memory. Arbor Day used to be a really big day around the country, planting trees, so on and so forth. And I had a vivid memory a few years ago of my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Taylor, dragging all of us kids out at Knox Elementary School in Patuxent River, Maryland, and planting maple trees. And I went to Google Earth a few years ago, and lo and behold, right where we planted all these trees along the northern boundary of the playground were these huge maple trees. And it was, it means something.
Yep.
And it's just, I think it's become forgotten. But planting trees is an important thing, Johnny Appleseed and all that other stuff.
We still make a big deal of it here in Rockledge. Every year we have our Arbor Day ceremony, and a lot of people show up for that.
Yeah,
but we're only planting one tree.
Yeah, it used to be that they would count in the hundreds the trees because they know that not all of them are going to survive. Yeah, it really is an important day.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. John Kennedy was still in his first 100 days, if you want to know when it was.
Yeah. Councilman Hartzell.
Apologize for not being here at the last meeting. I was a little under the weather and visiting the hospital. I'm back and glad to be back.
Good. Congratulations. Councilwoman Martin.
I'm glad you're back. I did want to ask the city manager about The status of our open building department requisitions.
Well, Councilwoman.
First of all, I mean, have we gotten any response? We desperately need to get those positions filled.
We continue to have at least 2 open positions out there. I've taken several measures. I've increased the salary that's offered on those. I've offered a signing bonus for those.
What about a finder's fee?
Absolutely. Anybody in the audience, if you have anybody can review plans and building permits and such, it truly is a desperate time for all cities in the county. There just are literally not enough people who are qualified with which to do this work, coupled with a hurricane that caused massive damage, construction industry that's booming, and we do have 2 companies who are external, if you will, to the city, who we pay to review plans as well. So we've done all we can to have continuing services agreements to help have others to review our plans. And we're looking, literally, Alex and I look at that office many times a day, walk through there to try and think of other efficiencies or other ways, from issuing one-stop permits, if you will, and trying to do those different things. And if anybody on council has any suggestions, but we are desperately trying to do all that we can. So I wish I had a better answer for you, quite honestly. I wish I could tell you we've hired a person or 2, but I unfortunately don't have that response. And actually, the mayor and I were discussing that a little earlier, in that the state, too, has brought some legislation, if you will, that sort of changed requirements on how one qualifies to serve in that capacity, where they need many more years of service and experience, and complicated it a little bit for cities and counties. So again, I'm not giving you a good answer, and I apologize for that, but those are the facts of the matter at this point in time, ma'am.
Basically, the applicants aren't out there. They're not out there because the requirements the state has made
I understand.
to become a building inspector or plans review, you have to be 60 years old before you qualify with all the experience they're requiring. We've discussed, me and the city manager discussed, we have to go to the state level and say, legislators, you got to do something about this. If a general contractor can build a 100-floor condominium or building, but he can't be an inspector, there's something wrong.
Wow. Okay.
There's something wrong with it.
Thank you.
It's they have to do something at the state level, because they're the ones that caused the problem
Okay.
by changing all their regulations. But go ahead. You still got the floor.
That's it.
Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Ferguson.
Well, good evening, everyone. I want to say first, congratulations to Councilwoman, Martin, who received the acknowledgement of the Richard E. Stone Community Betterment Award. Well-deserved. Mr. Stone, if I'm not mistaken, is the founder of Stone Funeral Home. And its locations in Cocoa and Titus and in Melbourne that are still up and running today. Also, just want to share that on April 17th, 1952, President Harry Truman signed a bill proclaiming the National Day of Prayer into law in the United States. In 1988, President Reagan, he amended that law and made the very first Thursday of the month of May each year the National Day of Prayer. The National Day of Prayer has about 35,000 gatherings throughout the United States. There are about 40,000 volunteers that assist with the National Day of Prayer, and there are several million people that gather. And I'm excited to announce again this year that here in the council chambers on May 3rd, we will be having a gathering, a local gathering here. That's going to be from 1:30 until 2:30 p.m. On that day, I invite all that can to be a part of it. It's being sponsored by the Dove Bible Club. Loretta Dozier is the person that's kind of leading it throughout the county. There's several spots throughout our county that will be doing a local National Day of Prayer gathering, as well as churches throughout our community. There are places open if anyone would like to volunteer to be a part of that gathering to pray during that event. Please let me know. I can pass your name on to Loretta Dozier to be a part of it, but I'm excited that we're going to be having that again here in the city of Rockledge. I also want to share, before I close, the legislative session review. The packet you can get, it is available. Again, I wanted to just to remind us we had a great time. Again, thank you to the council for sending myself along with my dear friends, Mr. Mann over here, Frank, Deputy Chief, and Deputy Forrester, as well as City Manager Fetra. We had a great time, but I learned a lot. And the review came out on the 28th of March. These packets you can get from Dr. Fetra, who provided for you. But that just want to share these real simple few things. There were, which shocked me when I saw it, there were 30,192 bills that were filed in the House. 3,192 bills that were filed in the House, in the Senate combined. Interesting, only 6% or 200 bills were passed. And at this time, only 157 bills were actually approved by the governor to the state. Though this was a contentious year, the great thing is there were no bills that were passed that really harmed the cities. And so that was the best news. So if you like more information, not taking any more time, if you like more information to read it, I had the opportunity to read thoroughly through this packet along with Frank, and a lot of interesting bills, and a lot of interesting bills were not passed. And but I recommend for everyone to get it and read it. Interesting. Thank you.
How many did you say were passed?
Only 200. 6%.
Out of 3,000.
6%. Yes, ma'am.
Jeez.
Very interesting.
That's probably 150 too many.
Councilman Dasky.
Yes, sir. First, congratulations to Councilwoman Martin on her award. Secondly, the 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony Committee met today at 8 o'clock. We actually had a meeting about a week or 10 days ago. Thought we had the date set, and then we kind of found out that the port is not doing a 9/11 ceremony this year, but they're actually combining it with Vieira. So it took a lot of the resources, and they were going to do it exactly the same time we were at 6:30 on 9/11. So we decided not to compete with them. We are going to hold ours on the Monday night, which is 9/10. It'll be at 6:30. It'll be at Fire Station 3, so please mark your calendars. There'll be more coming out about it, but 6:30 on September the 10th.
You got those same two guys from last year you were supposed to have?
We are working on that. Is that right, Steve?
That is correct. Yes. That's going to be some interesting stuff there, guys.
And last year, I know everyone remembers this, but we did have to cancel last minute last year due to the hurricane. Yep. So I pass.
Deputy Mayor Forrester.
I have nothing tonight.
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and just take a couple of minutes here. I want to, of course, congratulate Sammy and give you a little bit of history as well, Sammy. Mr. Stone, who the award was named after, was also the inventor of the blinker for automobiles.
Certainly.
Did you know that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're
Yes,
way
sir.
ahead of me
Yes,
then.
sir. My grandmother was born in Cocoa. She passed in '07 at the age of 101. She knew Mr. Stone as a boy.
But that's neat to know somebody came from Cocoa who invented the blinker for a car.
Yes, yes, sir.
And had the patent on it. Okay, let me do a little bit of, talk to you guys a little bit about our city manager with her contract. I'm gonna talk about her contract. When we signed her contract 2 years ago, our charter says that the city manager must live within the city limits, or unless the city council approves otherwise. And we're getting close to the 2 years. She's got 6 months left, and I've been worried about her. I've been talking to her about it. And the problem that she's had is finding a house that she can buy, that she wants to live in Rockledge, but the problem is finding a house that she can buy. Every time she looks at a house, it gets a contract on it, which we all know what's going on in the market right now. And the prices are very high right now in real estate. And she's lived in her house in Port St. John for 25 years. She's 12 miles away. So I wanted to bring it to the council, and we have the right, if the council so chooses, to allow her to live 12 miles away in her house in Port St. John, but it's entirely up to the city council. And I wanted to put it out here tonight, and let's talk about it and see how everybody in the council thinks about it. I know there's some of you that feel very strongly that the city manager should live in the city limits, but let's talk about it here tonight, and I want to start with Sean at this end.
It goes without any question that I believe our city manager is doing an amazing job. She is priceless, is a good word to use, without any question. I'm in the real estate market as well in terms of as a realtor, so I am quite aware of the challenges that she's probably facing. And so, you know, I'm on both sides of it, from the seller side to the buyer side, so I totally understand. I am totally fine with her staying in her current home without having the need to relocate.
Okay.
Fine with that.
Okay, Councilman Dasky.
I'll echo those thoughts that obviously the city manager is doing a tremendous job. I think we made a great choice when we did that. I am one that believes that the city manager should stay or should live within the city limits. However, given the current situation, I would be willing to extend that period of time rather than just vote it out if that's possible. I'm thinking, you know, whether it's a 1 year or a 2 year extension, something of that nature would be okay with me if that's possible. And the attorney may have to answer that, but rather than just saying no, you know, do away with it completely, I'm not ready to support that.
Okay. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking about changing the charter and doing away with that provision. We're talking about making an exception for Dr. Fetro.
Right.
And for however long her contract runs.
Understood.
And I would prefer that the city manager live in Rockledge, but I don't think it should be a financial hardship.
Correct.
I don't think we should impose a financial hardship on someone who is serving us so well, and or anybody else for that matter. I would support waiving it for Dr. Fetro, and at the same time, I've had a discussion with her about this as well, and she has been looking, and I guess she still is looking, and if the market changes, if conditions become right, I think we should certainly still encourage her to move to Rockledge, but I don't think she needs to have that sickle hanging over her that it has to be reviewed in 2 years or 3 years if she can't find a place. You know, who knows what the council will look like in 3 or 4 years, and the members may have a totally different opinion and cause us to lose a superb city manager. So I would certainly vote to waive it in the case of Dr. Fetro for the duration of her employment.
Councilman Hartzell.
I know how much I like living in Rockledge, so I'm sorry you aren't able to find something here. But I also know that when you find a place you like to be at, you want to stay there. So 25 years means you definitely like where you're at. I don't feel comfortable imposing the hard requirements saying you have to move away from that, though I still feel it's a mistake. So I agree with Mr. Forrester on that.
Okay. Councilwoman Martin.
I as well don't think that it's necessary to put the imposition to require her to live within the city. I think you're accessible. Me being a newbie, some of the issues that I think about that or that come to mind that was our recent tragedy there on Barton. You were readily accessible, so I would be in agreement to make an exception to the charter and allow you to remain at your residence for the duration of your contract.
Okay. Let me just tell you a little bit of history first. City of Cocoa does not require the city manager to live in the city. They just have to reside within 15 miles of the city limits. Melbourne does not require the city manager to live in the city. Palm Bay requirement is if they were to sell their home, they would expect them to buy in Palm Bay. West Melbourne does not require the city manager to live in the city limits, and Titusville gave their city manager 90 days to relocate to the city, but they were from out of state when they moved to Titusville, so they were going to move anyway. In Rockledge, we have a requirement in our charter, except it says, however, the city manager shall reside inside the city limits while in office unless the city council approves otherwise. Precedent was set with Mr. McKnight when he got married, his last 3 years, maybe 4 years on the council, I'm not sure, as city manager, I mean. And he was allowed to move to Cocoa Beach, which was about the same distance, wouldn't you say, Cocoa Beach to Port St. John?
Just over 10 miles.
Excuse me?
Just over 10 miles to where Jim was
I
at.
think it's 12 miles to
To
city
her.
manager's house. So I have no problem myself, and I realize there was other council people that felt very strongly about this, that they should reside in the city. I think what's more important than residing in the city is being seen in the city and being known in the city. When we have events that our city manager is at these events and she's being seen at these events, and the city residents become to know you as well as they did our last two city managers who were in the city. And Jim McKnight did a good job from Cocoa Beach, living in Cocoa Beach. He did just as good a job as he did living in Rockledge, in my opinion. So I'm glad we heard from everybody. We know how everybody stands. So I'm looking for a motion from somebody to put this thing to rest or else extend it out.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to waive the charter provision that requires the city manager to live in the city for the duration of Dr. Fetro's employment as city manager.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. Motion carries. Okay, if there's nothing else, yes?
Mr. Mayor, I'd recommend that we do a modification to the city manager's contract.
That's true.
To reflect that that provision is outside of her contract, and also a brief resolution to memorialize what the council did, so that it is a charter provision, and therefore this is a policy change by the council, and it would be of record.
So you're looking to bring us back an amendment to the contract as well as a resolution?
Yes, and the modification will just be very brief,
Right.
just to delete that, I think it's like half a sentence. And,
We're not going to change the charter, right? We're just.
no. This
We're
is a
waiving it in
contract.
this particular instance.
Right,
Okay.
we'll do a resolution to waive, we're not, we'd have to do a charter review and put it on a, no.
No, we're not doing
We, I did that once already, that's enough. What we'll do is I'll put a contract modification together for both of the parties to sign, and also a short resolution stating the policy provision that the council has put out tonight in their motion.
Okay. You're going to bring that back to us at the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's nothing else before this council. I adjourn at 7:08, excuse me. Yes, sir? Okay. You want to come forward? And your name and address for the record.
My name is Matthew Loxley Saunders. MATTHEWSAUNDERS, my last name. You want the middle as well? All right. I stay at 1080 Basque, BASQUE Drive, and I also stayed at 1009 Coronado Drive. Mr. Forrester knows me very well.
I did not recognize you, Matt. How you doing?
Very well, sir. Well, I've been a lot better, but things are coming to peace.
Good.
I could be known as a hothead, but I'm also known as somebody who is very understanding. Mr. Forrester knows that. Got him in a lot of trouble, but whenever it came down to him having to call my mom, please tell my mom I didn't start it. You know I didn't start it, Mr. Forrester. And I'm a married man now, and unfortunately, which fortunately no marriage ends with a divorce, but I'm getting a divorce. And I've been alienated from my child. It's been 4 years since I seen him. I'm not asking for help. I'm not asking for a handout. All I would really love to push is that maybe we can get a sponsorship. I believe David Henry, he's pushing for this, and he had it passed with the school boards, he had it passed with Cocoa, Melbourne, and if I pull up the rest of the stuff that he told me, where is it? One moment, I apologize, I'm a little bit disshuffled. But he had it passed in Indian Atlantic, Palm Bay, Cocoa, Titusville, Melbourne Beach, Cape Canaveral, and the Brevard County School Boards.
What did you have passed, a proclamation or a resolution?
A sponsorship, I apologize.
A sponsorship?
Yes, a sponsorship to hopefully have Parental Alienation Awareness Month for April.
That's a resolution then, right?
Yeah.
Proclamation?
Proclamation, yes.
Yeah, no, we don't vote on those. We have procedures for proclamations.
Yes, sir.
You'll have to get with our city clerk and submit everything to our city clerk, and we have a procedure for proclamations, how proclamations are handled in the city, just like all the other cities in Brevard County has too. And once you get it through her, then she prepares everything and then brings it for the city council, if you qualify for the proclamation.
I fully understand, and I apologize for interrupting, and thank you for hearing me out and giving me the proper way of going about it. Are you the city? I will be speaking with you once we are done, if that's okay with you. Have a blessed one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? There's nothing else. I adjourn this meeting at 7:22.